Welcome to Pierce and Show's Personal Injury Postscript.
Hello, and welcome back to Pierce and Schaus Personal Injury Postscript with Chris Schaus. Chris is a Baton Rouge personal injury attorney who has been representing clients across southeastern Louisiana for more than 30 years. He began his career in insurance defense before founding Pierce and Schaus in 1992, where he now focuses on helping accident victims rebuild their lives with clarity, compassion, and strong trial advocacy. I'm Heidi Mack, and in today's episode, we're talking about what motorcycle racing can teach us about risk, injury, and recovery, lessons that matter for anyone involved in an accident here in Louisiana. So thank you so much, Chris. Thank you for joining us again.
It's good to be with you again, Heidi. Always look forward to it.
Yeah, let's get to it here. We talked a little bit about it in the past episode, but can you share your background in motorcycle riding and how it's shaped your perspective as a lawyer?
Sure. I'm happy to. I've long been passionate about motorcycling. I'm a lifetime motorcyclist. My dad, my earliest memories are of my dad riding. It was a lot different then. I think my first bike that was mine was an Indian boy racer when Floyd Clymer was importing Italian Motomarinis under the Indian label. Indian has had many lifespans over the years, and my first bike was an Indian. And we moved on from there. This was before Yamaha came out with the famous Mini Enduro, which was kind of the start of modern kids motorcycles. I've been riding all my life. I'm down to a single motorcycle right now. I scaled back after a round of cancer treatment and so forth, and I sold 28 bikes to get my fleet down manageable. My boys rode and raced. My wife rode a little bit. We rode, hobby riding, but we competed in trials and a lot of cross country, some motocross. I kind of try to steer them away from that because of the injury rates, but it's inevitable. Everybody does it. Everybody sees it, and everybody wants to do it. And so all through that, lots of off-road of all sorts, all across the South and Southeast, Texas, Florida, Alabama, Mississippi, all around. I've done the street bikes as well, both sport bikes and cruisers. Done some long cross-country touring on, had a real nice GS 1000 for a while. My most recent street bike was a R1150R, a nice old classic BMW. I mostly stay off the street, a little bit of street riding. I'll do it when I'm out in the country or something. Mostly in the dirt these days, but can't give it up. Still follow several racing series. Still go out to some live events. Still try to catch a national every year or two. Thunder Valley, Washougal, some of the classic old days tracks, Unadilla. Can't leave it behind. It's in your blood.
Yeah, of course, of course. So then, because of your past here, and I'm glad you're here talking with all this experience, what has riding taught you about managing risk, and how can those lessons be applied to accident recovery then?
It really makes spending time, especially on the street, it really makes you much more aware of all the risk. Good motorcyclists know, don't ride in the oil stripe. Good motorcyclists, street riders know, watch their front wheels. They're not necessarily going to signal their turn, but if you watch their front wheels, you can see if they're changing direction before the whole car telegraphs that turn, and so you can see them bleeding into your lane or whatever. It's a hypervigilance that's required for riding on the street, particularly for riding in traffic. The other thing is you learn to anticipate. So you watch certain vehicles, certain drivers, certain road scenarios, certain situations. Every now and then, I still travel between Baton Rouge and Houston with some regularity. I-10 on that stretch, when you cross the state line, there are long stretches, miles, where the two lanes are bordered tightly by Jersey barriers, those concrete dividers. I see people I see people get up. I've seen motorcyclists get up, crowding 18 wheelers inside those Jersey barriers where you've got no runoff, you've got no place to escape. Uh, don't put yourself in those scenes. Don't get in that. Don't get in that box. Don't get in that trap. Leave yourself an out. Hypervigilance is what's called for. The other thing, and it's hard to protect against. You're sitting at a red light on a bike. You need to be watching your mirrors constantly. I have a good friend and client who was hit 3 times from behind at the same intersection. It was on his normal commute, and finally, after the third time, he sold the bike, bought a truck, and said, I just can't keep getting hit like this." Yeah. If you know areas that have bad visibility or bad road surface or blind corners or those kind of things, be vigilant about them. Try to avoid putting yourself in harm's way. That's the problem.
Yeah, no, as we're talking about like roads and stuff like that, then what challenges do Louisiana roads and traffic conditions create for motorcyclists compared to drivers in cars?
Well, some things that are particular to us, we use a lot of asphalt paving here, and some parts of the country do, and some don't. Uh, Here we have problems funding our roads are funded from a fuel tax that hasn't been adjusted in 30 years in Louisiana. And so we have billions of unmet road maintenance uh, expense. That asphalt wears in the heat, it will deform. The asphalt highway outside the paper mill north of town has deep wheel ruts from those log trucks. So the center line or the center lane, the oil stripe is high and the wheel ruts are low. There's a couple of things to watch for. That high stripe is both high and oily, and and bikes can get cross rutted, so to speak, on that stripe. Those valleys, the wheel ruts, carry water, and so they present a hydroplane risk. You don't want to be on the oil stripe, but you don't want to be riding in deep water in those wheel ruts.
Mhm.
That's a situation that 5 miles from the paper mill, the road might not be like that, but 2 miles from the paper mill, it is. So you have to always be watching and watching for those disparities. Um, where they're working the roads, a lot of times you've got that 2 or 3 inch pavement
Yeah.
uh, disparity, and that's a people get caught out by that. Foreign substance on the road, rain on the road. We can, we get icing these days. People don't know how to deal with it in this part of the country. They don't have any experience. They don't, and so bridges. We have a lot of bridges, and the bridges, because the air circulates around, the roadway will freeze earlier. And man, it never fails. I spent a few years up north, and so I got some time driving on ice. But boy, you see them here. They hit that overpass, and they just like ping pong balls. Just so
Oh,
road surface and traction coefficients are a big problem.
mhm. Yeah, no, being up on the East Coast, I've even in a car when the bridge freezes, you can feel it. So imagining just the smaller motorcycle, I mean, it's going to be 10 times worse. And then, so speaking with that, with motorcycle wrecks, often that does cause serious injuries. How have your own experiences with crashes and recovery, has it helped you understand what injured clients go through?
I've certainly been down that path. Fortunately, I have not had a serious or a life changing injury from a road uh, incident. I have laid a bike down on a road before. I've had some adventures on the road, but never a serious injury in a on road situation. Uh, I've broken vertebra in crashes on a motocross track. Uh, Certainly, and in cross country work, had various injuries of various sorts, uh, and dealt with it with my boys. Both of my boys have ridden and raced extensively. Um, We see a lot of spinal injuries, a lot of neck injuries. I'm recovering right now from a broken collarbone on mountain bikes. I thought when I moved over to mountain bikes, I'd drop my injury rate. A couple of months ago, had a crash in the woods, broke the collarbone.
Uh,
That's a very common injury. Uh, when it happened to me, it reminded me 10 years ago I had a shoulder surgery, uh, uh, and talking to the surgeon, he says, "Oh yeah, you're a motorcyclist. I can tell from looking at your shoulders. Both of them need surgeries. We see that in old football players and old motorcyclists, and so neck injuries, back injuries, shoulder injuries, wrist injuries, as well as some knee and lower limb stuff. Again, you don't have the crash structure. You separate from the vehicle. Um, you got the weight of that helmet. There are people who feel various ways about that. Interestingly, Heidi, I don't know if you've seen it uh, in the MotoGP. So in the professional road racing, those guys are wearing airbags in their suits now.
I did not know that. No.
And
Oh
so
wow.
that airbag reacts fast enough. If they are pitched from the bike, that airbag will deploy inside their suit and give them spinal protection before they hit the ground.
That's so cool.
There's somebody selling that on the market commercially for road riders. Haven't seen it yet much, but it wouldn't surprise me, particularly for tourers, people who ride long distance.
Mhm.
I think there's going to be more of that. The technology seems to be coming along, and looks like a common thing and a real safety plus. So that's something we'll see in the future.
No, that would be amazing if they just put that, in regular. I mean, of course, a riding jacket then would be very much more expensive. But yeah, maybe worth it though. But yeah, no, on a side note, it sounds like this might be too old of a reference for younger people listening, but I think you're the $6 million man. I'm like, you sound indestructible and you've been rebuilt and you're here talking to us.
Well, it's starting to add up. It's starting to add up. Yeah, I've had a few, and I kind of creak and groan a little bit on a cold morning, but I'm still riding, and still enjoying it. Uh, my boys, my boys have had a couple of knee surgeries. The thing is, that motocross track is a dangerous place. Everybody likes it. You can't stay away from it, but the injury rates are high out there.
Well, as we're talking about, those cool airbags and jackets and stuff, like how can preparation, like protective gear, training, and rider awareness, help Louisiana motorcyclists avoid a serious accident then?
Well, so training is a fantastic thing. A lot of folks, for me, I grew up. I mean, my earliest memories are on a bike, and I learned very early. I spent a lot of time training my boys. A lot of folks don't have that family connection, and we talked about it a little earlier. The Motorcycle Safety Foundation, MSF. Uh, I think they're everywhere. They're here in Louisiana. I've seen them out at the state police training grounds conducting the MSF classes, and there are 3 levels of training. It's fantastic. It's really good training. It's really good. It's expert training. It's gradual, and there's a lot to know about riding, and they do a wonderful job of it. So I think that's a wonderful resource. I think the off road riding is good. It gives you a chance. The bikes are cheaper. You're dealing with low traction. So you learn how to react to unexpected traction loss, whether front end or rear end, what to do when a bike's sliding, what to do when the front end washes out, those sorts of things. So a smaller bike in a low traction environment is a great training tool. And I've used that a lot. In 50 years of riding, I've taught a lot of people to ride and introduced a lot of folks that are still riding to this day. Small bike and in a low traction off road environment is a great training tool and a good way to prepare to deal with traction or to deal with traffic and bigger motorcycles and bigger issues.
Yeah, I honestly would have never thought about that, but that makes sense because that's so many different terrains. Then when you're smooth sailing on asphalt, then you'll be like, oh, okay, you know what I mean? You'll much better prepared. So that makes a lot of sense to me.
I I was at a trials riding event some years ago, there were a number of national caliber riders there, and there was a superbike champion, a road race champion there, riding with us in our group, and we were trials riding, and which of course happens at walking speed, and so I was asking him about it. I said, "How does this relate? How do you use this training? I've watched you go into a corner at 180 miles an hour. Now I'm watching you struggle at 2.5, 3 miles an hour. Tell me how those relate." And he said, "Chris, it's the same. It's the same. I'll go into that 180-mile-an-hour corner 30 times, and in it, I might be moving my body position by just a millimeter or two, dropping my heels, sliding my butt back, tiny, tiny little differences. It's hard to have the sensitivity and the control to do that routinely at 180 miles an hour, but everybody can do it on a trials bike, and the same things apply. Are you properly weighting the inside peg? Are you weighting that front tire where you need to make the turn? Are you lightening the front tire where you need to move it over that rock?" He said, "It's tiny, it's weight shifts. That's the thing about motorcycles. The rider's weight is a relatively large proportion. And so where you position it on the bike is critical, whether it's 180 miles an hour or 1 mile an hour." And he said, "That's how it relates. And that's why I love the off-road trials riding, because
Wow.
it trains me for my road race
Yeah.
work." So it sounded better coming from him.
No, no, but no, you still like explained it easily. I mean, we should be able to understand it. I got it. But so yeah, no, so you've done these are things that we need to train to better prepare yourself, but if the inevitable happens, um why is it important for the accident victim to stay calm and focused when dealing with the medical treatment, insurance adjusters, and the whole legal process?
It is a very complex dispute resolution. The personal injury litigation and claims process is really complex. And I talk with folks all the time who say, it's been 20 years since I had an accident, but I didn't use a lawyer then. I just, all I wanted was what was reasonable. I got my receipts together. I talked with the adjuster, and we got it worked out. Why would it be any different now? The difference is there was a time when insurance companies sought efficient, fair resolution. That's not really the case anymore. The numbers now support aggressive claims handling. Several years ago, Allstate had a claims manual prepared by McKinsey Consulting Group. The name of that was "From Good Hands to Boxing Gloves." That should that should tell you something about the transition in their attitude towards claims handling.
Mhm.
That approach was so successful that it revolutionized, it swept through the industry. Uh, if you notice, you're not talking to a claims adjuster anymore, they're a claims specialist. The difference is they don't have any authority. They're told from their supervisors, their superiors, what to offer on your claim. Doesn't matter if they like you, doesn't matter if they trust you. They're collecting some data. An anonymous, faceless group is going to spit out a number, and that's it. And their bonuses depend on what their average cost per claim is. You better believe they're there to beat you out of whatever they can. And in a motorcycle scenario, you're likely to have significant medical problems and medical expenses. Um, that brings a whole new set of issues. Subrogation. When I began practicing law, subrogation was very uncommon. Now it's a part of every case. It's an industry that has developed on its own in the last 30 years, and it's a big one. Medicaid coverage, Medicare coverage, both of those are very significant. Oftentimes, we may settle or resolve the primary claim against the liable party. Then we have to negotiate with either Medicaid or Medicare, or maybe Blue Cross or a private insurer. There may be 2 or 3 subsequent derivative negotiations trying to deal with all the various claims that arise. People just don't realize how complex it's gotten. They realize it when they're 6 months in. Sometimes they realize it after they've had 3 or 4 calls with the insurance representative. But a lot of times they've said the wrong things, they've said too much, they've painted themselves into a corner. That claim specialist is asking questions designed to limit the scope of your claim, to shrink your area, to shrink the value of your claim. That's what their questions are targeted towards. And if you don't understand the process, you can give an incorrect answer that slows the claim down, creates problems, or waives an element, a piece of the claim that you didn't realize you were doing. We take a lot of claims that somebody's been mucking about with for 6 or 8 months. And we generally can get them back into shape and get them squared away. We do our best work, we deliver our best value to our clients when we get in early. We can preserve the evidence, we can manage the conversations, and it takes them out of that 6 or 8 months of grief and aggravation and headaches. No, I don't have any of that. Lawyer offloads all of that. And so really, we like to get in as early as we can. The earlier, the better.
Well, Chris, obviously, again, we could keep going. You have so much information to give, and that just gives another reason for people to keep listening and come to you for advice in motorcycle accidents. And for those of you out there, thanks for joining us on Pierce and Shaw's Personal Injury Postscript. If you've been injured in a motorcycle or car accident in Louisiana, Chris and his team are here to help you protect your rights and rebuild after a crash. Visit pearsandshouse.com to learn more. And don't forget to leave a review, and subscribe so you can never miss an episode. Thank you again for joining us, Chris. We really appreciate it.
Thank you, Heidi. Great to visit with you.
Thanks for watching. Be sure to hit that like and subscribe button and leave us a review in the comments.